One of the important pieces of PHP you will come across, especially when working with themes, is called the loop. The loop is a combination of a PHP conditional statement and a PHP loop that intelligently gathers and prepares post or page content that you could display in your theme template. Here is a breakdown of what a simple loop looks like. We could see that we start off with our conditional statement. This is using a default PHP conditional if, and then a special WordPress function have posts, which checks to see what page you're on, first of all, so it knows what URL you are, and then it knows what content should be displayed there, and it checks to see if that content exists. We could then see a little bit lower down that else statement saying, okay, if there are no posts, then go ahead and display this block as well. Display this block instead, and then the if statement closing it out. So that's the first part of the loop. It's an if statement. The second part of the loop is the while statement. So the if statement is checking to see if there are posts. The while statement is saying while there are posts, go ahead and do the following. And it will be this first block of code in there, the title and the content that execute, because if there is no content, it will automatically not run that while statement because it's inside of the if statement. So only that else section will execute. And you could think of a while loop kind of like the for each loop. It'll say for each post that you have, go ahead and do the following. So this will come in handy, not so much on single pages, but on like a blog listing page or a page where you have to display a bunch of custom posts and things like that. That is where this while loop comes in handy, so that it'll execute the same code for all of the posts or pages or whatever it is. And then the third part and final part of the loop is a WordPress function called the post. And what that does is it goes inside the while loop. So we've gone from having a bunch of posts, and now that we're in where it says the post, we're saying, okay, grab this specific post. And it's important, very important to mention here that when we see the post in WordPress, this is often a generic term to refer to posts, pages, custom posts, any sort of post type, really. And it's important to remember here that this whole loop, even though it says have posts, the post, this will work for pages, this will work for custom content. So again, the post here is kind of a generic term for content in general. So once you have that, the post set up, then inside of that, you could do things like use title tags, which we'll look at, but the title, the content is automatically going to display that. And then down below, we're using a custom WordPress function to echo out, sorry, no content available, and the text domain we'll look at later in this course, but that basically allows you to translate it easily. So other languages can say, hey, instead of displaying that message, display something else instead. So that is the loop. And one thing I'll point out here is that we do have some PHP, and then it ends, and then you could have some HTML inside of it. And it is possible that you may come across the loop written in pure PHP. So this is really broken up and clean and probably the most common way. However, you may also see it like this. Notice that this is just one PHP block, and it's doing all of these things inside of it, but we don't have any HTML here. So this might be a little bit less common, but you will definitely see that from time to time. And the other thing I'll mention is you will also see the if statement, the while statement broken up into separate PHP blocks as well. And when we get into the loop in more depth, we'll talk about why that is. I'll just close this section by saying that it is possible to customize the loop. However, we will look at that later on in the course. We're not going to do that now. What I'd like you to do now is just review this information again, and then in the next video, we're going to start trying to practice building out a loop.